Dispatch, in partnership with Carnival, just dropped a Christmas deal that actually makes you harder to kill. So from now until December 23rd at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, every $100 that you spend at carnival.com is one virtual raffle ticket that you automatically get entered into a drawing. And on Christmas Eve, we'll pull 5 lucky names, and the winners will get a prize package fit for Santa himself. Each one of the prizes will include 1 beef family pack, as well as 2 beef, 2 chicken, and 2 pork single serving packs from Carnival. They're also going to throw in a Carnival tee and a Carnival hat so you guys can wear that swag and brag to all of your friends that you were one of the lucky winners. But not to be outdone, Survival Dispatch has brought their A game as well, and we are offering 5 lifetime Guardian membership. You get 6 private encrypted signal channels, Survival Dispatch emergency notification system, and the POC-Link Ultra radio channel if you have those items as a part of your membership. But our current subscribers to the annual subscription are not to be left out in the cold this winter. Every time you spend over $99 at Carnival, you just email your receipt to support@survivaldispatch.com, and we will tack on 30 days to your annual membership. So don't delay and head over to Carnival and start buying that meat with no mRNA injections, no antibiotics, the perfect addition to your preps this winter. So don't delay and get started right now with Survival Dispatch and Carnival. And from each and every one of us, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We are back. I'm Chris Evans, the CEO of Survival Dispatch, joined tonight by my good friend Khalid Muhammad from Command 11 in Pakistan. The rumors of his demise have been greatly exaggerated. Good to see you, Khalid.
Great to be back, Chris. Great to be back.
By the way, while you were gone, one of the viewers made a correction to your handle. They said, actually, Khalid's not Agent 711. He's Agent 00711.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it in the signal chats as well.
That's too funny. And we've got a little bit of a lag going on here tonight, audio-wise, so apologies for that. Khalid's dealing with another power outage in Pakistan. So tonight is a special episode, and we're going to be discussing the jihadi terror attack in Australia yesterday and some other information that's related to it. The conflicted question tonight is not going to happen tonight. We'll do that tomorrow night. So I've broken this into half a dozen segments tonight, and the very first one is called Raise Everybody's Blood Pressure. And here's how we're going to do that. All right, so this is the Prime Minister of Australia. Islamic terrorists go on murderous rampage. Australian PM. We've really got to crack down harder on guns and right-wingers. 25 seconds of insanity.
We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
Sounds about right. Khalid, what do you think? ISIS-aligned individuals create terrorist attacks will go after the conservatives?
Well, the Australian PM, Australia as a whole has been an absolute clusterfuck. They've known for years that this was coming, and they've done nothing to stop it. It's almost like what's going on in Europe, where they've known it's going on, they know what's going on, they know what's going on. They've said, well, we can't do anything. We don't want to offend anyone. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to offend anyone. The interesting part is about 4 months ago, the entire Iranian diplomatic corps was expelled from Australia. And it was expelled on the point that they thought Iran was running terror ops inside of Australia. If you remember when the attack happened in Sydney, automatically the Israelis pointed at Iran and said that Iran was part of the attack. There's a lot to unpack with this attack in Sydney. I'm going to say this as a preface to the whole show. What happened in Sydney is something that we've got to understand for the U.S. homeland attack. Because if you look at it from what's going on, what happened in Sydney, where police officers were hiding from the shooters, that's what's going to happen in America, guys. Some of your cops, some of your police officers, some of your law enforcement, because they're not properly trained, because they don't have the intestinal fortitude to be able to stand up to warfare, they're going to be hiding, and that means you're going to be more exposed. And it goes back to what we've been saying about there is no one coming to save you. These guys are piss scared of what's going to happen, and they don't know what to do. What we're hearing from world leaders right now is just, it's absolute bullshit. And then I said it in my video last week that, you know, when I come back, it's no holds barred, unfettered. I'm pissed. Everything's now a nail. And what we're seeing right now around the world is absolute bullshit. From the attack that happened in Syria on U.S. soldiers, to what happened at Boston, at Brown University, to the arrest that happened in Los Angeles today, the pile of shit that is being loaded up to try and placate the American people that something is going on is just comedic. And when the shit hits the fan, we're going to find out exactly how ready the U.S. law enforcement and federal task forces were for this attack that's been known for 18 months now.
Yeah, thanks, Khalid. So moving on to the next one in this first segment, titled Raise Your Blood Pressure. Check this out. Let me just zoom in a little bit. There you go. So where my cursor is, where this balloon is here, that's the Bondi police station. And the blue path here takes you to Bondi Beach. And it is precisely, well, it doesn't want to pop up like that, but right there, 2 minutes bicycle ride, 400 meters. So just a hair over a quarter of a mile. So Khalid, what strikes me with this is the reports that, you know, the real cops didn't show up until 20 plus minutes into the whole thing. So we're supposed to believe during that 20 minutes that not one cop walked in and out of this police station and didn't hear 30 caliber hunting rifles going off. I mean,
no,
give me a take on that.
No fucking way. No fucking way. If a lot of people don't remember when the attack happened in Kashmir, in Palgama, when India decided they were going to wage war against Pakistan, got their asses handed to them. That was a sector that had 900,000 Indian soldiers. The police station was not more than 10 minutes away. And the attack was allowed to carry on for 20 minutes without a police officer responding. And once the firing stopped, all of a sudden the area was flooded with police officers. This, again, I hate saying it, but this is what is to come. When we start thinking about how prepared the police forces in the US are for what's coming, we just saw it in Australia. You had guys hiding from doing their basic duty of fighting the enemy. And when you don't kill the enemy, you're allowing them to do what they want, how they want, when they want, and you've just created an opportunity for them to carry out whatever attack they want to carry out, and it's just going to get worse. And my problem with this is the idea of, well, you know, we can't do anything about it is absolute crap. Pakistan, a third world country that has significantly less resources than any Western country in the world, we have deported over 1.5 million illegals in the past month and a half. And America's still wondering what to do.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So next up in this opening segment on raising your blood pressure, did you know Australian schoolgirls are taken to a mosque and lectured by an imam about Sharia law? This gets broadcast on Australia's government-funded television. What has been going on in Australia? 1 minute, 19 seconds.
Following the laws of Islam, can he coincide with people from different faiths? The answer is very obvious. Have we been living with people from different faiths for the last 1400 years? Yes. That's the answer. A part of Islamic Sharia is that if you go to a foreign land that basically is not a Muslim land, you abide by the laws, as long as they don't force you to give up your faith.
No Muslim is out there lobbying for Australia to adopt Sharia law, because there are Muslims living in Australia who live by Sharia. And there's nothing in Australian law which stops us from following our fundamentally important religious aspects. And there's nothing in Sharia which forces us to break Australian law.
People that have shallow knowledge of not only Islam, but about world religions, they have used this one word to create fear amongst people. And then, sadly to say, there are many Muslims they use this word incorrectly as well. Now, keep in mind, there's 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. So you're going to find a few people that are nonsensible. All right.
Thank you greatly.
Oh my God. What's with the eyes, Khalid?
This guy.
Let me paint a scenario for you.
No matter how.
Yeah, we got a
Go
bit
ahead.
of a sound leak here, but let me paint a scenario and comment on it. If this had been a Christian pastor who went into that school, what do you think the legacy media and the government's reaction would be versus this crap from Mr. Crazy Eyes himself?
No, Chris, come on. The idea of allowing this kind of behavior is just it's not allowed. I mean, being a Muslim myself, I've never evangelized to anyone about what Islam means and how to follow Islam. I spent 27 years in the US, and I've never even once brought up the fact that I'm a Muslim, because it's my relationship with God is my relationship with God. And to allow something like this, you're trying to indoctrinate people. And we've always believed that this is part of a decolonization process that's going on, whether it be Europe, whether it be England, whether it be Australia. These Muslim countries were all colonies of the British Empire. And what we're seeing right now with the influx of people into these countries from places like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, they're taking what they weren't able to do in their own country. And again, I'm going to repeat this, that there's only 3 countries in the entire Muslim world that practice Sharia law: Afghanistan, Syria, and Saudi Arabia. And no other Muslim country practices Sharia law as its primary form of law, a primary form of jurisprudence. So what you weren't able to accomplish in your own countries where you came from, you're trying to bring to the West, and that's not going to happen. Your belief in God is your belief in God. My belief in God is my belief in God. How I choose to practice that is up to me. And if I think that part of that is waging war against the civilization that I've moved to, then you've misinterpreted your book. You've misinterpreted what you've been taught. And if this was a Christian, I'll turn it the other way. If this was a Christian doing this in Pakistan, you would have seen a shitstorm. There would be people talking about it left and right, going, "Oh my God, they're allowed to evangelize here. Oh my God, they're allowed to evangelize here." Keeping that in mind, I mean, we have Christian churches here in Pakistan. No one bothers the Christian churches. No one bothers the Christians here. And they're allowed to practice their religion just like everyone else is allowed to practice their religion. But we don't believe that we should be telling people how to live their lives. That is a fundamental faith belief in Islam, that if you're a good person and you project all the values of Islam, people will want to become a Muslim. You shouldn't have to say it from your mouth. It's the same thing with Christianity. If you walk in the footsteps of Christ, people will want to embrace Christianity. But the problem is that we've decided that, instead of embracing the values that we were taught by our religions, let's try and convert people with our words. And that doesn't work. And if this was Christianity in a Muslim country, you would see people going to jail. You would see people going to the media going, "Oh my God, what's happening? What's happening?" We shouldn't be allowed to do it in the Western world. They should act like a good Muslim and let people see that, what we really are.
I appreciate that, Khalid. So here's a post from Joe Pure. And he says, following today's horrific terrorist attack on Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah at Bondi Beach in Australia, let's remember who perpetrates terrorism across the world. So he's got Muslims down here, directionally correct, but you got to have that little asterisk beside it for guys like Khalid. But 9/11 Paris attack, shoe bomber, Orlando attack, Beltway snipers, Fort Hood shooter, underwear bomber, Westminster attack, 2005 Bali bombings, USS Cole bombers, London Bridge attack, Madrid train bombers, Charlie Hebdo attacks, San Bernardino attacks, Surabaya bombings, Minnesota mall stabbings, Moscow theater attackers, Boston Marathon bombers, Ankara airport attack, Manchester Arena bombing, Pan Am 103, Iranian embassy takeover, Air France hijackers, 2002 Bali nightclub, Bamina attacks, Beirut embassy bombers, Libyan U.S. embassy attack, Yazidi massacre of 2014, beheading of French priests, Buenos Aires bombers, Israeli Olympic team, Kenyan U.S. embassy, Khobar Towers bombers, Beirut Marine bombers, Bessian school attackers, First World Trade Center bombing, beheading of Daniel Pearl, Achille Lauro hijackers, Bombay attackers. Let's stop using the word Islamophobia and rightfully accept the fact that the violent religion of Islam is incompatible with civilized society. So you hear me typically call them jihadis, to be fair in that regard, because Khalid doesn't fall in that category. So there has to be a distinction made. And I make the distinction just by calling them jihadis, because I don't know anybody else who's a jihadi who doesn't see themselves as Islamic, I guess. Your comments, Khalid?
You've got that right, Chris. The 1.6 billion Muslims in the world, we would say maybe 10% of them are radicalized and in the jihadi mindset. The rest of us just want to live a peaceful life. And I saw this in the Signal chat yesterday. I think it was last night. They were talking about Islam and about Muslims. The problem you come up with when you start branding Muslims as a whole is that all Muslims don't believe the jihadi mentality. And we're fighting. I mean, if you look at what we do here in Pakistan, we're at war with the same jihadis that are looking to fight the US. And we've been at war with them since 2007. We were partner in 2001 to 2006. In 2007, the jihadis declared war on Pakistan. We are a Muslim country. And these quote unquote Muslims decided we weren't Muslim enough for them. So they decided to wage war on us. And when you look at Pakistan as a whole, we are 250 million Pakistanis. Of that, 200,000 are radicalized. And when you look at those kinds of numbers, you go, what the fuck? And we have waged war for years now. Command 11 has been on the front line, both with strike teams, assault teams, narrative building. We're fighting these guys ourselves. So to try and say that all Muslims are like this is very difficult for me to at least stomach, because if all of the Muslims were like that, then we'd be supporting them in Pakistan. We wouldn't be fighting against them. And the problem that we've always seen is that broad stroke paint that people try and use to say Muslims. Well, it's not Muslims. Even the Muslims say it's not Muslims. And the problem is most people don't hear it when we say it. When the Muslims say that these are not Muslims, people aren't listening. But when the West says it's Muslims, then everyone listens. And we're not pro-ISIS. We're not pro-Al-Qaeda. We're not pro any of these terror groups in our countries. And the people that are, you can pick them off very quickly. I mean, if I were to come into the US right now, I could literally walk down any of the blue state streets where the sanctuary cities exist, and I could point them out to you going, this is one, this is one, this is one. Because we know what to look for. But for the normal person who lives in the West, who's never seen a radical Muslim, who doesn't understand what radical Islam looks like, you have a lot of trouble trying to distinguish who the terrorists are as compared to who the good people are. And I always go back to pre 9/11. Pre 9/11, there was no such thing as a Islamic problem. There was no such thing as a Muslim problem. But as soon as 9/11 happened, all of a sudden the Muslims became a target. And it was all of the Muslims, not just the ones that supported the terror groups. It was all of the Muslims. And it's my fear now with 9/11 2.0. After that happens, it's going to be the Muslims in a culture war again. And you've got to understand that we're not going to stand with the jihadis. That's never going to happen from our point of view, because that's not what we believe. That's not what we've been taught. And the jihadis have taken our book and demonized it, bastardized it to fit what they wanted to say. And that's not what Islam says.
I appreciate that, Khalid. So I want a couple quick shout outs here. Father Duck, thank you for your generosity once again. I believe there's another one down here. J Pie, blood pressure already up. That makes two of us. on purpose this time around. I think there might be another one from Father Duck. No, Jeff, sorry. Jeff, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And he welcomed you by code name. Check that out. 00711.
Yeah.
That guy's on the ball right there. Oh, wait a minute. And it looks like he made a typo last time. Thank you, all of you, very much for your support. So last typo, welcome back, Agent 00711. So as you can tell, the Survival Dispatch news audience has missed you, Khalid. So it's ironic that Father Duck would bring up Chuck Schumer. This guy's such a piece of shit. Listen to what his priorities are and his general tenor in this 12-second video.
And of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay. So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal. And of course,
that's what's top of mind for him. These are all just bad actors. I swear to God, not one of them's legit. They're just bad actors. So moving on, Katie Hopkins is absolutely correct. The attack at Bondi Beach, Australia is the fault of the Australian government for allowing these savages into their country. The Australian government has also taken away their citizens' right to bear arms, making them sitting ducks 1 minute, 19 seconds.
I take no pleasure in this message for the Australian government, but it is entirely your fault that this has happened on Bondi Beach. You import people into Australia who only wish harm on Australian citizens. You took away their right to bear arms, so they are not capable of defending themselves. And then your priorities are always to go after people who do no harm. I came into Australia legally with a visa. You didn't like what I had to say when I was in country, so you fabricated charges against me and you deported me from Australia. Your priority is deporting people who stand up for Australian citizens while sending Australian money to Palestine and to terrorists, and then you're surprised and you send thoughts and prayers when people are culled on a public beach. I still have the deported stamp on my arse to prove where your priorities lie. And today it is you that is guilty, just as much as the two gunmen that attacked people celebrating their special day.
Yeah, she had a mouthful to say there. I don't know if you want to comment on that or not, Khalid. I do want to thank Father Duck again, though. Welcome back, Khalid. Love and miss you, brother. So
I missed the whole audience. I mean, it's 3 weeks out in recovery and going through all the crap we were going through. I tried to activate chats, but it was not being here.
Well, wow, so our audience is so generous. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Thank you. And holy cow, there's another one below it. Don't bug me. Thank you very much. Look, you were missed, Khalid. I'm glad to have you back. Do me a favor, Khalid. And for those people who are not part of our Guardian membership and haven't heard why you were indisposed the past few weeks, maybe give them a quick update on what happened to you.
I think it was about 3 weeks ago now, maybe about a month ago. We were involved in a raid on a terror camp. We hit well, let me go backwards. Before that, a bunch of our safe houses were hit. When our safe houses were hit, we decided to go after the people that went after us. We narrowed it down to about 10 people that were part of the planning, and we went after the locations that we knew they were at, where we tracked them down to. And again, for those of you who don't know who we are at Command 11, we look like a think tank, we act like a think tank, but we are an intelligence agency. We have 400 ground assets that stretch all the way from Libya into Afghanistan and Pakistan. So we know, and this is what I tell intelligence agencies we talk to. I know what you had for breakfast, and I know when you took a shit. So we found the 10 that had come after us, and when we went after them, I got stabbed. This little jihadi got me from behind. I didn't see him coming at me because I was engaged in the front. He got me from behind. He missed vital organs by about an inch. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. for 3 weeks now, I have been more in hiding than what I was in the past. We've been living for about 2.5 years in complete security situations where people didn't know where we were, how we were operating, changing phone numbers on a regular basis. I had a security detail moving with me. When we ramped up after the attack, we went into a very high level of security where I was moving almost every second day. Being injured at the same time made it difficult to move. But when you're talking about staying alive, that difficulty you kind of tolerate when you have to. So what happened is over the past 3 weeks, we have taken out somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 jihadis. We have been completely unmerciful in the way we've done it, from explosives to assault teams. We got 9 of the 10. We're looking for number 10 right now because he's gone into hiding, knowing that we're looking for him. We're not done. I'm gonna get the guys that came after me, and when it's all said and done, then I'll tell you guys the whole story of what's going on. At the same time, we are dealing with, and when I say we, it's me personally. Command 11 is under investigation by 4 different intelligence agencies for the amount of information we have on 9/11 2.0. People are wondering how we know what we know and how we know it so far ahead of when the intelligence agencies know it. So we're dealing with a lot of challenges on this side. Simultaneously, I'm in the process of getting an investor visa to the US so I can go home and kind of live away from the warfare here. There's a lot happening. It'll be over the next week or so that I'll unravel what's going on and what's happened, how we're dealing with it. But we're in a little bit of concern right now because we know there are infiltrators around us that are looking to create problems, looking for something to target us with. And it's become very clear to us that people are trying to take us down because we have stayed on point and above over the X throughout. We have not let little controversies distract us from what the real mission is of saving lives. People ask, why are we so interested in America? It's not just America. When the Champions League was going on in Germany, we were working with German intelligence. When the Olympics were about to happen in France, we were working with DGSE. Our job is saving lives. It's not about protecting a country. We believe humanity is the base of everything that's built on. And as long as we dedicate ourselves for fighting to protect humanity, then we know we're fighting God's war. And I don't care who stands in our way. If I end up dying because of where we stand and who we're fighting against, I'm ready to go. And I said that to the doctors that were treating me. We went to the military doctors after I was stabbed. And I told the doctors the same thing. I said, listen, if it's my time to go, then let it go. Don't go beyond what you need to keep me alive. And it's a mentality that's very difficult for a lot of people to understand. This is war. And for us, it's not just a war for the culture. It's a war for where we want our religion back. And for those of you who think that I'm actually sitting in the US someplace, I'm not. I'm in Pakistan. Before the attack, I was crossing into Afghanistan on a regular basis. Now I'm a little hesitant because of the injury. I've got another 2 weeks before I'm back to normal, and then I'll be kicking indoors myself. I am expecting to get hassled in the US. The new requirements that they put in for visas in the US, we have to give up 5 years of our social media history. Anyone who's gone through the Command 11 hashtag on X knows exactly how hostile we've been towards the administration and them not doing what they need to do to protect the American people. So the possibility of us being harassed and our visa applications being delayed, denied, we're dealing with that. We've got a team of attorneys that are handling that as well. But we'll keep you updated on what's going on. I'm looking forward to coming home. I've been in the war zone now for well over 15 years. It's time for me to come home.
Thanks for the update, Khalid. Want to thank the Spin on Rumble for a generous donation as well. Rumble doesn't let anybody else play nicely with them as far as podcasts are concerned, so we don't get the comments aggregated here. We get all the other platforms, but not that one. So next one up here, this is interesting choice of words. This is the end of the first segment called Raise Your Blood Pressure. Authorities have suspected for years that terrorists would attack Bondi one day. That's why they surrounded the beach with diversity bollards years ago. What the authorities did not do is stop allowing jihadis to migrate to Australia. And there's the bollard right there. So with that being said, that's the end of Raise Your Blood Pressure. Let's get into chapter 2, which is titled All of the Warnings Have Been Ignored. 2017 UAE Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan issued a stark warning to the West over its suicidal empathy and tolerance of extreme ideologies. 45 seconds.
And let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying. No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Wow, he said a mouthful there, Khalid. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember this. We were in the audience when he said this. The astounded shock that people had when he said this. We had a team of 5 sitting in the audience. We were all like rocking our heads, going, "Yeah, he hit the nail right on the head." But the problem, again, Chris, we've said this on so many broadcasts, that when you decide to be politically correct and not look at people for what they are, you are setting yourself up for what we're seeing right now. With this northern and southern borders left open in the Biden administration, and for the amount of people that were brought from Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Libya into the United States and allowed to be given asylum inside the United States, you create this problem yourself. And he's absolutely right. The problem that you see right now is because of bad decision making and thinking that you know better than we do. We're Muslims. We know not to trust these guys. And I'll give you a very simple example. The UAE, Bahrain have banned Muslim Brotherhood for years now, and America still has not done it. I mean, we're now seeing political mileage being carried out to, ban the Muslim Brotherhood in the US. They've already done their damage.
Right. I appreciate that, Khalid. So here's the next part of they ignored all the warning signs. 3 months ago at a pro-Palestinian rally in Australia, they revealed their true intentions. Just like Israel, Australia does not have a right to exist. It's never been about Israel. It's been about destroying Western civilization. 1 minute, 18 seconds.
My name is Manuel. I'm a eulogy worker as a man from Cal.
So I've got the wrong link on this one. It's the right video, wrong link, because the one I had subtitles in it. This one seems to have no subtitles. So I'll get your comments in general, Khalid, about how it's not just focused on Israel, it's other Western countries.
Well, let's go backwards. Remember when the protests were happening in U.S. universities and U.S. cities, where they were putting up people with suicide jackets? And I said at that point, I said, you're trying to rebrand Hamas. You're trying to turn Hamas into a freedom fighter organization when they are nothing more than terrorists. And what we're seeing right now is that was a thought process that was started. The investments of the government of Qatar, who is one of the US's biggest enemies, that the US government has still not figured out how big of an enemy Qatar is to the United States. They were allowed to invest into United States universities, start creating policy documents, start creating influence documents, start to influence students in those universities, which made those protests possible, where Hamas was all of a sudden a freedom fighter and not a terrorist organization. Anyone who knows the history of Hamas knows that they are terrorists, period, end of story. That's a full stop. To allow anyone to try and rebrand that has created the globalization of the intifada argument that we're hearing now. You cannot, it's like saying Al-Qaeda, and we saw Zalmay Khalilzad write this article, that the Taliban cannot be a forever enemy. Why? A country, a group that wants nothing more than to destroy your civilization is your enemy until you've wiped them out. And to believe that you can reform them, something like what you're trying to do with Jolani in Syria, money does not change their mentality. Money does not change their ideology. Money does not make them give up what they believe. They will happily take your money. They will use it to train terrorists. They will use it to infiltrate your country. They will use it to carry out attacks on your soil. And they will laugh at you the whole time they're doing it. I don't understand why the US government, the European governments, the Western governments still have not figured this out. People that want to kill you, the only answer is to kill them. That's it. There is no other conversation here. And to allow them into your country and to allow them to live and study and work in your country, you're just you're lighting a fuse that's going to explode at some point. And that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, I would posit, Khalid, that Western governments, aren't letting this happen because they're not aware. I would argue they're doing it on purpose, because if they take down America, the firewall between globalism and freedom, they get their one world government that they so desperately want. And I would argue that they weaponized migration to achieve that goal. That's my opinion. But the next one up, and they ignored all of the warning signs. October 2025, Muslims swarmed the Sydney airport arrivals gate and yelled Allah Akbar to welcome the return of pro-Palestinian activists. They crossed the security line and the cops looked the other way. When you tolerate such lawlessness, mass shootings happen. 1 minute, 11 seconds.
Abu Bakr has arrived. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Free, free Palestine! Free, free! Free, free Palestine! Free, free! Free, free Palestine! Palestine to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea.
Okay, that's about all I can listen to, Khalid. I can't take anymore.
Yeah, I can't even tolerate this crap.
So that's another example of ignoring the warnings. Here's another one. Islamic scholar in Sydney, Australia. Jihad is definitely part of our religion. Allah prefers and rewards Muslims who directly fight our infidel enemies more than those who do nothing. Can we please ramp up the deportations here in America before we have this escalating here? 2 minutes, 18 seconds, not a chance that we're going to get through this video.
We can't take away from the fact, first and foremost, that jihad is definitely part of our deen. And as Muslims, we should never ever shy away from this.
Shit. Oh, hold up.
Yep, cracked out.
Let me back that
We
up.
can't take away from the fact, first and foremost, that jihad is definitely part of our deen. And as Muslims, we should never ever shy away from this. And yes, there may be types of jihad, but of the peak of this jihad is that which the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about, and I'll read the hadith soon. And that is fighting in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. A physical fight, not the fighting of the nafs. Although your nafs is needed in order for your physical to go out in the path of Allah. So we're not talking about the struggle of the nafs, we're talking about the physical jihad, the physical struggling against the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to make the word of Allah Azza wa Jal the highest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says to, which means...
Yeah, I'm cutting it off there. Khalid, do you want to comment on
that?
Yeah,
cut that off, man. I hate these idiots who have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, this guy calls himself a Muslim. He's just a dumbass. Yeah, jihad is part of Islam, but the first jihad is the fight within yourself to become a better human being. You don't get to go out and fight wars against other people when you're a piece of shit yourself. And the mistake that most of these jihadis make is that, well, I will, be a homosexual. I will use drugs. I will do whatever I want to do. And I'll still go out and fight for God's word. How? I mean, if you're not pure in your own soul, how do you fight for God? How do you pretend to think that you're going to carry out a war on quote unquote infidels? And that phrase is even wrong. An infidel is someone who does not believe in God, period, full stop. People who are Christians, people who follow Judaism are people of the book. It says that in the Quran. That means you're not an infidel. You're not an infidel if you're a Christian or if you're a Jew. That is clear. But when you are trying to turn an argument into a recruiting poster, well, kill all the infidels. That includes the Christians. That includes the Jews. That includes anyone who doesn't believe in Islam. That's not what Islam teaches. It does not teach that. I have practiced Islam for my entire life. I've studied Islam. I've studied Christianity. I've studied Judaism. My book does not teach to kill everyone. If you look it up on Google right now, who are the people of the book? It will tell you straight away, Christians and Jews under Quranic law are considered the people of the book. Now, when you call them infidels, you just make yourself look stupid. And it's the core problem that I have, because in their book, I'm an infidel as well, because I don't practice their Islam, where I should go out and kill everybody just to make myself look like a good Muslim. That's not how you prove yourself as a good Muslim. Be a good person, respect humanity, respect the law, give a tithe. That is how you prove yourself to be a good Muslim. But you've decided to go the easy way and pick up a gun and go start shooting people and say, well, look how good of a Muslim I am. That's not the judge. That's not the rule. And that's why when we kill jihadis, we have no problem doing it. I don't consider them human beings, period, end of story. You are not human when you think killing people to spread a religion is the way to spread a religion. That's not what I was taught. And I will kill them all if I have to. And if I get the opportunity, it will be mass bloodshed, because I'm fed up with this. I'm absolutely fed up with this bullshit argument that people are making that, and it's my own faith where people are saying infidels and jihad. Learn what those two words mean before you use them, because you have no clue when you're making speeches like that jihad is taking up weapons. No, it's not. That is the smaller jihad. The greater jihad is within yourself, becoming a better human being. You've skipped that and said, oh, let's do the easy one and pick up a weapon and go to war. Give me a fucking break.
You didn't say BFE once. I might have to dock you.
I'm trying to hold on. It's my first episode back. I don't want to throw the BFE out there like I used to yet.
Want to thank the Spin again for a second donation on Rumble. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. And I saw somebody mention this particular video in the live chat. Bondi Beach massacre didn't just start today. This is what they mean when they say globalize the intifada. This needs to stop now. 17 seconds. This is on Bondi Beach, by the way.
This is not normal.
So it's a very popular page.
talk about trying to provoke people. Let me go to the next one here. What just happened in Australia is why I'm Christian and pro firearms. In Australia, law-abiding citizens can't carry for self-defense. They don't remove the evil, they regulate compliance. God never calls for his people to be passive in the face of evil. 2 minutes, 21 seconds. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
What just happened in Australia is the reason I'm a Christian who is pro firearms. You had a terrorist attack carried out by people who clearly didn't care about the law. In Australia, law-abiding people are prohibited from carrying firearms for self-defense. So when violence breaks out, the only options left are to run, hide, or wait. But then you have 11 innocent people who cannot go back to their families. Here's the thing, laws like this do not eliminate violent intent. They don't remove the evil. They regulate compliance. And criminals, by definition, don't comply, ever. So what do you end up with? You end up with this dangerous imbalance. Because the people willing to do the harm will still find weapons regardless of what you do. And the people trying to do the right thing are left helpless in the moment that matters the most. And before anyone twists my words, I'm not glorifying violence here. I'm not calling for chaos. I'm talking about the reality of the world we live in. Deterrence matters. The knowledge that citizens can defend themselves changes all behavior, even of the criminals. Would there have been 2 mass shootings 2 days in a row if it hadn't been for the criminals knowing that no one is going to stand up for themselves? I don't know. Now,
So just going to cut that off there, Clayton. Get your thoughts on what he had to say.
Yeah, when you carry a weapon, people, settle down very quickly when they see a weapon on your hip. I carry a weapon everywhere I go. And I literally have pulled a weapon in marketplaces in Pakistan and said, go ahead, take a step. Go ahead, see what happens. Weapons, when you try and de-weaponize a society, you are giving criminals more power, because criminals do not get legal weapons. They are not going and applying for licenses. They're not going and applying for permits. They're buying them on the streets and they're using them against defenseless citizens. What we saw in Australia is sadly what the Democrats are trying to do in the United States right now is to de-weaponize the US. To repeal something like 2A makes it very simple to carry out an attack like what happened in Australia. And one of the things I'm going to lobby for when I get back to the US is a BFE clause in the Constitution. That there should not be a stand your ground. It should be battlefield executions. Anyone pulls a weapon on you, put 3 into them and be done with it. Do not leave it to the courts. Do not leave it to the police department, because we know how sold out they are. And if you need proof of that, look at what's going on in Providence, Rhode Island right now, where you had an active shooter and you still cannot find him. You still cannot find him. And that makes no sense to me. The problem you've got is that as long as you say, well, I'm going to be tolerant, I'm going to be politically correct, you are slitting your own throat. There is no such thing as political correctness when it comes to defending yourself. Carry a weapon, use it, train on it, know how to use it, and don't be afraid to pull that weapon. We were taught something very, very early on in the war on terror. When you pull a gun, be ready to use it. It's not for show. It's not for show. When you pull it, fire.
True story there. Last one up, and they ignored the warning signs. So Tommy Robinson says jihad is coming for all Western nations. Sadie replies, yet these countries keep letting them in and bending over backwards for them. I will never understand why. They hate all things West and they want to take over every nation that they can. So I think we've spoken on that topic at length. So let's go to segment number 3, which is titled The Australia Attack. So this is the stuff that actually happened. This first one here is a full 10 minutes of the terror attack. Obviously, I'm not going to play a 10-minute video. I'll play the first minute or two, and then I'm going to put it in a link in the live chat. Wow. Alaska Forever North, thank you very much. I'll pull it up in a second. $50. Angel TI over on Rumble, $20. Appreciate your kindness very much. Listen to the report of that. That's a 30 cal round. And Khalid, we're supposed to believe that the cops that were the police station quarter mile away didn't hear anything. Like nobody went in and out of the building. Just complete BS. Not believable at all. Let's listen to this a little bit more here. Dang Dang it, this video keeps pausing on its own. By the way, did y'all catch that? It's a good thing that the cops went by these guys. So, Khalid, speak in terms of time. 10 minutes in a firefight is a long time.
A long time. A 10-minute firefight is a long time. A couple of things that I don't understand. When I went through these videos really slowly, very, very carefully. The fact that none of the two shooters were even trying to hide at all. They were standing up and firing. They were operating like well-trained attackers. That's question one. Question two is, where the hell was the police? I mean, you pulled up that map a little while ago, and to be six minutes away by road, 2 minutes away by bicycle, 10 minutes, you could have gotten there and done a lot of damage to these guys and taken them down. The fact that there was a innocent bystander who was a fruit seller who took down one of the shooters, that screams how incompetent the police force was in defending their own people. The problem I've got is that I want to say that, it looks very orchestrated what happened, because, this happened in India, in Kashmir as well. And the place, it happened on a beach in Kashmir. That area of Kashmir had 900,000 Indian soldiers stationed in that sector. The police station was 10 minutes away. A 20-minute open fire was carried out by 4 jihadis, and then for a period of almost 10 days, the Indians couldn't even figure out where the attackers were in that heavily controlled area of Kashmir. It's a taste of what's to come. And I hate saying it that way, but it's a taste of what's to come. And every American should be watching not only this video, but go back and watch every active shooter video that's happened in the United States and see how the police force reacted there. Because if you see police officers hiding in the US as well, you need to understand, the more you train with your weapon, the more secure you're going to be. And if you are not going to train with a weapon, then be ready for what's going to happen to you, because 10 minutes is a lot of casualties, and you don't understand when the firing starts, how long 10 minutes actually is, because the kind of damage you can do in 10 minutes is unbelievable. And especially when you're as trained as these people are, 10 minutes is like a lifetime for them. It's like a couple hours for them.
Yeah, Khalid, I would throw in there that, obviously I have a number of friends who are operators or retired operators. They've all told me the exact same thing. When a team goes in, so like a team of Green Berets, team of SEALs, they typically have enough ammo for a 7-minute firefight, and they watch the clock because they know once they get to about 7 minutes, they're going to be completely out of ammo. So 10 minutes, I don't think these guys are very professionally trained. I mean, the younger guy the son was a little bit more proficient, as far as loading and ejecting cartridges in that bolt action gun. But the ones who are here that are ready to go, which you've spoke at length about and Jane Doe has spoken at length about, that's a different story. So here's drone footage from the moment the second Islamic terrorist who carried out the Bondi Beach terror attack was shot by Australian police. These extremist Muslims murdered 10 people. I think it's 16 actually now. More than 60 were injured. That number's gone up as well. But this is the direct consequence of ignoring repeated warnings about violent Islamists in Australia, pardon me. I won't play the whole thing, but you'll get a different type of view on it from here. And then there's no audio on this either. But now you can see again from just this different angle. And this is the father, by the way, right here. And I don't know if that's when he was hit or not. It looks like it was.
There he goes down.
Yeah, he's a DRT. Somebody hit him with a BFE there, clean. So anyway, moving on to the next one. One of those bullets was aimed at a 10-year-old girl and murdered her. He's, by the way, it looks to me like he's got a red dot on a bolt action rifle.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Moving on to the next one, and message to YouTube AI. This is for educational purposes. Take your strike, shove them up your ass. Terrorist attack. Time to start terrorism. Has no religion propaganda. 20 seconds. Did you hear some asshole in the background there yelling Allah Akbar? Khalid was about halfway through.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Despicable.
Yeah, I did.
Absolutely despicable. Next one up, man refuses to take cover, points at one of the Bondi Beach terrorists while the terrorist was trying to shoot innocent people. Witnesses say police officers completely froze during the terror attack and did nothing. 20 minutes, there were 4 policemen there. Nobody gave fire back. Nothing. Like they froze. I don't understand why, said eyewitness. Can't pronounce the name. For 20 minutes, they shoot, change magazines, and just shoot. Well, keep in mind, the magazines for these rifles was 5 rounds, so it's not like they have any type of high capacity. 1 minute, 9 seconds.
Oh my God.
Look at that. You figure that guy's drunk or something, Clede? Like just stopping and pointing at a guy who's shooting at everybody. I mean, I can see that if you were, out of the way, but the guy's right on the X, for crying out loud.
Yeah, he's right on the X. But I mean, Chris, it's that deer in the headlights mentality that, oh my God, look.
I was kind of more so thinking dumbass in the headlights. But
did you get shot in the process?
And that's it, starting over again. But this is the guy who goes to the other side of that object and points his finger at him anyway. Dramatic footage shows another angle of the mass shooting at the Hanukkah event at Sydney Beach. Multiple event goers can be seen running for their lives. Multiple casualties. Shooters have been neutralized. 11 seconds. So look how small those people are. Probably safe to say that it's at least two, if not 3 football fields away. And you can hear, yes, sound carries better over water than it does over land, but with objects in the way, there's no way the cops who are 400 meters away, which is just over a quarter mile, that nobody heard a single gunshot and nobody showed up for over 20 minutes, except for the women cops who showed up and immediately put their hands up in the air and hid, and they didn't even do a good job of hiding. I don't know if you saw it or not, Khalid, but a couple they're hiding behind the trunk where you have no cover. You've got concealment but no cover. I mean, this is the first rule of finding a safe place. Get behind the engine, put the engine between you and them. And if they have anything short of a 50 cal, then you have cover. There's no sense in watching the rest. That's just people running for their lives. Next one up, a tragic mass shooting occurred in Sydney's famous Bondi Beach during Hanukkah celebration today. Multiple lives are feared lost. Amid the chaos, a video surfaced of a brave man who disarmed the attacker with his bare hands. A true hero, hoping he is safe. And let me get over to this one because it's a slightly better video here. Okay, so I have a major problem with this guy, and I'm going to let the cat out. Spoiler alert: he's the hero of the day, but he's a half hero, because watch what happens here. He let the bad guy walk away. Do you know what the bad guy did, Khalid? Pulled out another gun and started shooting more people. That is just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's bad muzzle awareness. I mean, that, you take a gun, you should know how to fire it. Chris, my problem is that this is just.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question here. Do you think that guy didn't take a shot because in the back of his mind he figured that he was going to end up in prison? If he ended up killing the guy,
I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. That when you have no self-defense laws where you can defend not only just yourself, but even in a mass shooting situation where you can pull a gun and kill someone, you have that in the back of your head going, shit, I could go to prison for this. And that's got to keep you from pulling that trigger and taking somebody out. But the other thing is, when you live in a society where there is no 2A laws, you are not trained on a weapon. So it's also possible to say that he didn't even know how to use it. He grabbed the gun and he fired, thinking that, that maybe that'll push him out of the area. But you didn't think about the fact that he had another weapon. And that's where you did your screw up. Put the bullet in him and deal with whatever happens afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, that just blows my mind, Khalid. So Khalid and I have some breaking intel for y'all that we haven't seen anybody else report on, but we've got a fair bit of intel on this. And we have this thing called NIMS, the National Incident Management System, I think it stands for, but this is a field handbook. I have a PDF of this. You can see how detailed it is. The writing's super small. I'm going to put a link to the PDF in the chat for everybody. You can go download it. But here's the deal. So National Incident Management System, this was put in place after 9/11 to make sure that places like hospitals are trained and proficient in dealing with mass casualty events. Like, actually, I can open it up and show you, even though, like I said, the text is small, but it specifically says, there we go. Check this out. Let's switch over to this one here. Check that out. Very first one at the top, terrorists. That's what this was made for. So Khalid's got some breaking information. I'm going to put 4 links in the live chat, okay? So we've got this one, which is the link to National Incident Management System. I've got another one, the NIMS components, guidance, and tools that you can peruse. The next one, which is the NIMS implementation and training. And the last one is the PDF of the field manual that I just showed you. Khalid, I'm going to hand it over to you. Do me a favor and let our audience know the intel that you now have on this.
All right, so ever since we started talking about Homeland 2.0, 9/11 2.0 happening, we've been in contact with a lot of different people in numerous different industries, from law enforcement to healthcare to hospitals. We have now been told, after what happened at Brown University, that there are hospitals in the state of Florida, and I'm going to say hospitals instead of saying all of the hospitals, even though it is all of the hospitals, that have not completed NIMS certification. What that means is if there is a mass casualty event, they are not ready to handle what's coming in. The problem I have here is that when we say that it's Florida, and we've always believed that Florida is the most prepared of all of the US states for what is coming, with SOCOM there, with DeSantis' governor and his activity in keeping law enforcement and everything very active inside the state of Florida to make it very successful in conquering problems like this. When we hear that the state of Florida's hospitals are not NIM certified in the truest sense, meaning that they have not carried out the drills. To get your certification for NIMS, you must carry out drills on, I think it's a 6-month basis, where you literally have to figure out how to handle lockdown situations, how to handle mass casualties, what kind of process your hospital needs to go through when shit hits the fan. When we found out that Florida doesn't have a NIM certified hospital, and I'm talking the entire state of Florida, that really shook us, because when we look at what happened at Brown, and I've heard some of the conversations that were going on between first responders at Brown University, and they were saying that there were at least 20 casualties, and the number was going up. And where we stand right now is, if this is what's going to happen, and we're not going to see the response in the law enforcement or in the hospitals, we are going to see the body count go way high, and so it is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, the intel that I gathered after you brought this to my attention was there are some hospitals who are certified, but they haven't been doing the twice a year scenario training. And I was told to my face that the reason they're not doing the scenario training is because the CEOs of these hospitals are unwilling to give up a day of revenue twice a year, so 2 days a year in revenue, to do the NIM stuff. So they've just swept it under a carpet. So I think actually here in Florida, at least, the problem is not just some hospitals not being certified. You have hospitals who are certified but haven't done the scenario training, and nobody's decertifying them, and that's bad, like really bad.
Well,
So,
Chris, if you're not doing the scenario training, what good is your certification then?
not worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah.
So,
and with what's coming, I don't understand how you can call yourself NIM certified when you're not doing the scenarios, because mass shooter events are now happening everywhere. Mass casualty events are now happening throughout the United States. And if you're not ready for it, you're putting more lives at risk.
yeah, I would say to our audience that, I mean, the intel that was brought our way, so Khalid got intel, shared it with us. We went and dug up more intel. I'm sure that what's happening in Florida is happening across the entire country. We didn't get intel to that effect. We got it just for Florida in particular. But I would encourage all y'all in the audience to reach out to, your local hospitals, potentially your local politicians, even though they're usually about as useless as tits on a bowl, and find out if the hospitals are NIM certified, and if they are they doing scenario training twice a year. The amount of information in this booklet, and I put the PDF in there. I mean, check this out. Look how small the freaking text is on this stuff. Like, it should come with a Fresnel lens, which is like a magnifier, so you could actually read it. But y'all heard it here first. Hospitals not being NIM certified, or worse, being NIM certified and not doing the scenario training and not being decertified. Our hospitals, for the most part, at least in Florida, are not prepared for this. And it's probably the same situation across the entire country. And if anybody works in the healthcare industry and would like to reach out to survival or support at survivaldispatch.com, we will not reveal your name. We will not reveal your location. Love to hear from out-of-staters if you have any intelligence on your hospitals. And if you do, we'll mention it during a future broadcast. But let's jump into the next section here, Khalid, which is titled, well, very simply, more details. I got really creative with my titles. All right, here we go. So, breaking: one of the terrorists involved in the horrific attack at Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia, has been identified as Naveed Akram from Pakistan. Or is that actually the case, Khalid?
No, it's not actually. Naveed Akram, the guy they identified, Jerusalem Post and the Indian media, the guy they identified, actually recorded a video and put it up on social media saying, hey, I'm the guy you guys identified, that I'm the guy who's the shooter and I'm not the shooter. And what we have found, this is, and the guy whose tweet you showed there, Baba Banaras, is a known raw operative. He is a disinformation specialist. We know him very well in Pakistan. He talks out of both ends, and both ends put out shit. He's never been right about anything he's put out. What we know about this Naveed Akram is he is an Afghani refugee. His father has now, the Australian government has now approached the Indian government and said, we know this guy is of Indian origin, his father. So how is he a Pakistani? When the Australian government has reached out to India and said, wait a minute, this guy traces back to India. How much data do you have on him? How radicalized was he in India? Did he have any ties to Lashkar-e-Taiba, to Jaish-e-Mohammed? The other thing that we found out is, and this goes back to what happened during the attack in Kashmir and in Mumbai, we have heard through the grapevine, we're still waiting to confirm it, but there was apparently communication going on between Afghanistan and Australia while the attack was going on. The commanders were on ground in Afghanistan. And we have been told that the ISIS commanders in Afghanistan were providing direction of what was to be done in Sydney during the attack. This is now the second time that this is traced back to Afghanistan and traced back to ISIS. Whether anyone takes action or not depends on how stupid the CIA is in believing what the Taliban is telling them. We know that the Taliban is the primary source of intelligence on Afghanistan for the Central Intelligence Agency, for defense intelligence, and for the US government. And when you are trusting a murderer tell you he's not a murderer, you're going to get killed. So we're waiting to see how this plays out, but this is not good. This is the second time we've been able to trace this back into Afghanistan, into commanders in Afghanistan, overseeing an attack that was happening. Overseeing an attack that was happening on foreign soil. When that happens, you need to start asking serious questions. And those questions are not going to get asked. I'll answer it right now, but I know those questions are not going to be asked by the US government. 2 soldiers were killed in Syria, and 2 American soldiers were killed in Syria. And Donald Trump said, we're going to bomb ISIS, and then sat back and went, well, you know, I don't know if we should or not. And we're still waiting to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, appreciate that, Khalid. So moving on to the next one, police raid Naveed Akram's Bonnie Rig home. Crowds gather as investigators dig for the network. All kinds of information here. I'm not going to read it because we're going to be running long as it is. Here's a 28-second video, and I think there might be another one. No, just 28-second on this one.
It's actually, they've got a crowd going on right now. Everyone's waiting to see what happens. We've got the coppers right there. More people over here. That's his house over there. He's getting bloody raided right now. I reckon they're done. Is that why they're leaving?
So not too long after that, they announced that they'd found some IEDs as well and that they were diffused. So next one up, I actually believe the mother thinks this. The mother of one of the terror attack shooters at Bondi Beach, Australia, came out and called for her son a good boy, saying that he didn't drink or smoke, went to work, then came home. If your son has been on the terror watch list since 2019, don't act shocked or call him a good boy when he shoots 16 civilians dead. There is no way this mother didn't know, or at the very least, see the writing on the wall. The sick part is she's probably proud of what he did. 23 seconds.
So the mother of one of the terrorist attack shooters has come out and called her son, quote, a good boy, saying that he didn't drink or smoke, went to work, came home, and didn't really have friends. Now, let me just say this. If your son has been on the terror watch list, since 2019. Don't fucking act shocked, and don't call him a good boy when he comes out and shoots 16 civilians dead.
Yeah, Khalid, do you want to speculate on that at all as to whether or not the mother had any knowledge of her husband and son involved in this shit?
I'm sorry. I doubt that the mother didn't have any knowledge of her husband and son being terrorists. This kind of ideology pervasively goes through the household. I agree with the idea that, you know, probably the mother is actually proud of what he did, and is only saying, well, he's a good boy and he did. It's like when you have in the US, when some dumbass picks up a weapon and goes and carries out a shooting someplace, and people go, well, you know, he was a quiet neighbor, he never said anything, he never harassed anyone. I don't know what kind of narrative you're trying to create when you say stupid things like this. There is no way the mother did not know what the son did. My mother lives in the US, knows exactly what I do for a living. Exactly what I do for a living. I am constantly chastised by my mother, my aunts, my uncles for what I do for a living. But at least I'm not a terrorist. I am fighting against them. There is no way that my parents would turn around if I was on that side of the line and say, oh, he's a good guy. You know, he went to work every day and he did this and he did this. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. You cannot call a terrorist a good guy unless you are part and parcel in that ideology with him. Because then, sure, he's a good boy because he did what you wanted him to do.
Yeah, we have a word for them over here. It's spelled DINDUS. It stands for Dindu. Yeah, he's a good boy. He didn't do nothing. Dindu. Don't forget it. All right, next one up. Authorities confirmed that 2 active IED bombs were found at Bondi Beach yesterday. It's likely that the bombs malfunctioned and the massacre could have been much worse. What are your thoughts on the level of training that these guys had? My feeling is it wasn't significant, but I'd like to hear your take on it.
Well, I think they had base level training. I think it would be like someone coming out of basic training and going and fighting a battle. The problem is that when you start talking about the level of training they had, this is only a glimpse into what kind of training has been imparted. We saw the first glimpse in New Orleans on January 1st when the attack was carried out there. That was a vehicle attack. He did what he was able to do because he'd been radicalized. Now we see different attacks that have been carried out throughout the world. And we've always said this, Chris, that keep an eye on what's going on because it's a taste of what's to come. And you've seen different levels of quality of training. What we're seeing right now is, you know, the jihadis are now getting much, much more emboldened. They're saying, well, nobody's going to fuck with us. So let's go carry out the attacks. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. At the same time, they are testing every bit of information and intelligence that they've gathered as to what the law enforcement response and the SOPs are going to be. When you start thinking of it that way, you have to start going, well, fuck, what are we going to do? Because your police forces are completely taken apart now. They know exactly how you're going to respond, where you're going to respond from, what level of force you're going to respond with. And when you know that, the level of attack that is carried out against you is significantly higher. Where America stands right now is that we know the attackers that are sitting in the US are very heavily trained, very highly trained. They are also carrying battlefield drugs that will make sure that when they are hit, they will not feel pain. Taking them down is going to be very difficult. It will not allow them to feel fatigue in any way, shape, or form. So a 5 to 6 hour conflict will not feel like anything more than 10 or 15 minutes to them. You are talking about the stages slowly presenting themselves. And anyone who's sitting back going, well, you know, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be like this. It's not going to be like this. Spend a couple hours looking at videos of all the attacks that have happened in the past 18 months. And if you still have the guts to say it's not going to happen, then there's something wrong with you mentally, because they're showing you exactly what they're going to do. You're seeing tastes of the training, tastes of it. You're from very low level training to very high level training. And we haven't seen the high level training expose itself yet. When that comes out, you are going to see a level of fear develop. And that level of fear is going to be something that's going to be very difficult to contradict. Because what you're seeing right now, and I've always said this, if the US military was ever allowed to operate on US streets, you would see the brutality that the US military has in their training. These terrorists, these jihadis that are coming for you in the US and in Europe, and what we saw in Australia, you are going to see that level of brutality and lethality. And they don't care. That's the difference here. They don't care. They are looking to raise body counts. They will sacrifice their lives to increase the body count by another 10 to 15 people, 200 people, 300 people. And the objective here, again, and it's retribution, it is revenge. They have been programmed to believe that the only way to carry out a lesson for the American people and the Europeans for invading Muslim countries and killing quote unquote innocent people is to bring the war to your streets. And that's what they're getting ready to do. And what you're seeing happen is the base of what the basic level of training they've gotten. We have not even seen the level that they can actually do. We've seen the videos. We've played the videos on SDN numerous times of the kind of training that they've received. And it's scary to think that this is what you're dealing with. And all of the people that were trained by U.S. Special Forces are now training the Taliban, Al Qaeda, and Islamic State in Syria and in Afghanistan. That's got to worry people if you're thinking.
You would think so, Khalid. So this video was posted earlier today, 13:30 Eastern Time, U.S. here. Today, Sydney, Australia. After yesterday's attack, Muslims are praying Thanksgiving today. Thanksgiving to Allah. In a way, they thank God. There were many Jews who died in yesterday's attack. 42 seconds. I'm not going to play the full 42 seconds. So I'm going to pick up where Khalid left off and just say, anybody thinks that you can allow millions of foreigners into your country and none of them are going to hate you, none of them are going to attack you, none of them are going to seek retribution, man, you are living in fantasy land. I mean, the numbers just don't jive. Khalid, this is clearly a thought out process here of, okay, we killed 16 people, we injured a whole bunch more, and now we're going to rub salt in an open wound. It's what you just said. They're telling everybody exactly who they are. I don't know if you want to add more to that before we go into the next segment, but you're welcome to if you want to.
Well, Chris, again, because we fight these guys on our soil here in Pakistan, we have no questions to what these animals are. There's a lot of, and I call them terrorist enabling organizations, terrorist rights organizations. In the West, you guys call them human rights organizations. They only stand up and scream and yell when the terrorist camps are hit by Pakistan with bombs. They have no consumption. They have no consumption inside them to stand up and say, well, look, and I'm going to put this way. What happened in Sydney yesterday, how many human rights organizations have you seen stand up and speak on behalf of the victims that were killed or injured in Sydney?
Zero.
Yeah, if you were to hit a terrorist,
one that I saw, Khalid, the only one that I saw, sorry to interrupt, was a Muslim lady who supports the bad guys and decried Islamophobia, but didn't say anything as far as the victim.
See what I mean? I mean, I have now gotten to the point of saying these are terrorist rights organizations. They are not human rights organizations because they don't care about the humans. They don't care about the innocent humans that are hurt, killed, maimed by these animals. But if you hit one of their camps, they all jump up. They have videos and they have pictures and, oh my God, the government of Pakistan bombed a terror camp and they killed so many innocent civilians. Where is your morality? What is this? Why we're donating money to Amnesty International and to all these other Muppet organizations that think that we want you to stand up for the terrorists, that we don't want you to stand up for the innocent victims? I have gotten to the point where, again, I have now turned into a hammer. 3 weeks of being off air, I've turned into a hammer, and I'm looking for nails to pound into the ground. I am fed up with human rights organizations saying we are concerned about humanity while you're only speaking about the enemy, while you're only speaking about the people that want to kill us. When that's what your agenda is, then stop calling yourself a human rights organization. Call yourself a terrorist propagator. Call yourself a terrorist supporter, but stop calling yourself a human rights organization, because I've been watching very closely over the past couple of days since Sydney happened. I have not seen Amnesty speak up. I have not seen Human Rights Watch speak up. These are the two biggest human rights organizations in the world, and neither one of them has said anything about what happened in Sydney. But if we were to bomb a camp in Afghanistan tomorrow, you'll see them all screaming. That's not human rights. That's terrorist enabling.
Yeah, that's just crazy, Khalid. So work with me here on this, Khalid. I didn't put this in the brief because it slipped my mind, but as you were talking, it came to me a few minutes ago. So when you laid out timelines for stuff many, many months ago, you said phase number 1 will be attacks on Pakistan, where they test their SOPs, their tactics, in conjunction with probing attacks in Europe and America. So false bomb threats, active shooters, to study law enforcement, what law enforcement's SOPs are, standard operating procedures, how long it took them to get there, where they came from, where they were telling people to exfil. Just the one in Times Square is a great one, because the cops, when they showed up, they made everybody leave in one direction, and the bad guys now know that. Then you said after that things would go quiet for a bit. And we saw that. So we've seen the attacks on Pakistan. We've seen, the probing exercises in Europe and America. We've seen things go cold. The next step that you said that we would see is attacks on other Western countries, which that's where we are now. We've got attacks on other Western countries. The next step is 9/11 2.0. And the next step after that is ongoing terror attacks forever, basically. Joe Kent last week said that they've identified 18,000 terrorists that the Biden admin had in custody and let go into the country. What we don't know is how many actually walked across the border without being interdicted. Khalid, you've been saying that there are 25,000 Islamic army soldiers, which is the IA now. That encompasses everything: Al-Qaeda, Taliban, ISIS, ISKP, TTP, Taliban, Boko Haram, the list keeps going on. J.J. Carroll, a 24-year CBP agent, now an ICE agent, has pointed out, and he did it in front of Congress, that 200,000 SIAs were released into the homeland by Mayorkas. And to be an SIA, special interest alien, you have to either be a terrorist or associated with a terrorist. 9/11 2.0 is the beginning of things getting worse. It's not a one and done, correct? Khalid, did I miss anything in the synopsis there that you want to share?
No, you got it. The one step that people need to keep in mind is there's going to be a buildup. You're going to see attacks throughout Western countries. Then you're going to see a ramp up in the U.S. where they're going to test SOPs. They're going to test law enforcement to see if the notes and the strategies that they've put together are accurate. Then everything's going to go quiet. And I mean pin drop silence. You're not going to see a jihadi attack. You are not going to see a radical left attack. Everything is going to go quiet and go, wait a minute. For this 18 months, all this shit has been happening, and all of a sudden everything went quiet. That's the key. When everything goes quiet and all of these jihadis and radicals and their support networks disappear, that's the trigger. That's when you know 9/11 2.0 is about to happen. And the thing you need to keep in mind is you're seeing that ramp up now.
Well, Khalid, I lost track of how many hurricanes I've been through. It's a lot. And I can tell you, just before we get smacked, the old adage, the calm before the storm, is absolutely correct. I mean, it's spooky. I mean, it is spooky out. There's no noise pollution because everybody's hunkered down. There's no heavy winds. There's no rain. It is truly, the calm before the storm. I want to give a quick shout out. We got 3 more segments to go, but I got to tell you something just because this is a pretty heavy conversation tonight. Check this out from our friends at Carnival. They sent me a box of dog treats today, okay? And this is their beef and their chicken. I think there's pork in it as well, if memory serves me right. I opened this can today, Khalid, and my dogs followed me all day long. They went cuckoo over this. So for those of you who are Carnival fans and like their products for humans, I'm telling you, you got to check out the dog treats. They've got another one that's like more powdered, I guess, or not powdered, but really small pieces you can put on their top of their kibble. But I got to tell you, my dogs freak now over this. It was hilarious. And that's at carnival.com. Use code EATMEAT to get 10% off. So with that being said, let's get into the next segment here, Khalid. All right. Next up is, oh, by the way, this segment is titled Other Countries. Again, I spent a lot of time and effort on the titles for tonight for the segments, as you can see, other countries. Short, sweet, and to the point. Okay. So let's check out what's been going on in other countries here recently. So yesterday, German police announced they foiled an Islamic attack on a Christmas market. This morning, Islamist terrorists murdered people celebrating Hanukkah in Sydney. Tonight, an Islamist crowd is attacking a Hanukkah concert in Amsterdam. They are attacking our holidays. And December 13th here, car attack planned at Christmas market. Police arrest 5. That was in Bavaria. And that, to believe it or not, is just a synopsis. So check this one out. This was Amsterdam last night. Thousands of Hamas supporters have gathered outside of concert syllables I can't pronounce, a venue where Jews have gathered to celebrate Hanukkah. Tensions are rising rapidly, with demonstrators chanting anti-Semitic slogans, including calls for death. This is now happening in Amsterdam. So this is last night after the attack on Australia, 56 seconds. All right, Cleet. So that's the first one. I think I've got a second one that we can watch as well before you comment on it. Yeah. Masked Islamists are attacking Hanukkah concert in Amsterdam. This comes on the same day as Islamists murdered over 10 Jews, 16. This is only 20 seconds long. All right, Khalid. So give me your thoughts on what happened last night in Amsterdam and if it was specifically timed to go off on the same day as Australia, or was it spontaneous?
Well, there's nothing spontaneous anymore. If you remember that about 3 weeks ago, the German police rolled up a Hamas cell inside of Germany. And we said it was a sign of things to come. Hamas and ISIS have both declared open war on Judaism in Europe and in the US and anywhere else where Jews happen to live. So the attacks on the Hanukkah events and on more Jewish community events are going to ramp up. If you look at our NCTC alert that Joe Kent put out, he listed all of the upcoming Jewish holidays that were under threat of attack. This is not something that was a surprise. This is something that was known. It was something that was expected, and people, again, did not respond. And my problem becomes when you talk about Germany and how they know that the Islamic threat exists and how they're fighting so hard to send the Afghanis back to Afghanistan because of the extremist threat that they have inside of Germany. Those same people are going to be used in these attacks. And as long as you allow them to stay in Europe, as long as you allow them to stay in the United States, you are allowing your enemy to have opportunity. And as long as they have opportunity, they will take advantage of it. I don't believe in coincidence. This did not happen just because of the attack happened in Sydney. There was a thought out process here. All of your Jewish holidays, and at the same time, Christian holidays are going to be targeted over the next, I'd say, 6 weeks, all the way up until about Easter. The problem you've got is as long as the government and the administrations in these countries do not decide to respond with the amount of force they need to respond with, you are going to end up with a lot more problems. And I don't understand why. Germany knew this was coming. Germany knew this was coming, and they didn't act. This is after taking down a Hamas cell. And people need to wake up, and they need to wake up fast, because it's just going to get worse.
Hey, Khalid, can you answer Manly Thomas here? Just curious if 9/11 2.0 timeline is still between now and mid-February.
We've adjusted the timeline a couple times. If you remember back during the bombing of Afghanistan, when Pakistan was laying waste to the Taliban targets inside of Afghanistan, we said then that the target had moved from the month of December to January. I'm putting what I have been preaching to a lot of people now is 60% probability of attacks in January. December will be used for a ramp up, low intensity attacks during the month of December. January will be the first kickoff, and February, end of January, beginning of February is when 9/11 2.0 will roll out. The cutoff date for what 9/11 2.0 is when Ramadan starts. And Ramadan starts, I believe it's the 2nd or 3rd week of February. So that's the timeline we're working with.
Okay, appreciate that, Khalid. Moving on to the next one. This is Germany here. So Islamist attack in Germany foiled. An Egyptian, 3 Moroccans, and a Syrian were arrested in Germany overnight after planning to crash a car into a Christmas market in Bavaria to kill as many Christians as possible. That's why there are concrete blocks, or what do they call them? Diversity bollards, and protect. But we're gonna use that. We're gonna steal that. That's why there are concrete blocks and protective barriers at every Christmas market in Germany, which, by the way, all outdoor Christmas and New Year's activities have been canceled in France because of the jihadi threat. And that was announced even before the attack in Australia. 28 seconds. So AfD, that's a conservative party in Germany. Let me go to the next one, Cleveland, then I'll have you jump back in. So Hamas supporter is outside of a Toronto Jewish day school making threats against this school. Here, he posted this video just hours after the Islamic terror attacks in Sydney, Australia. Where are the police? 1 minute, 59 seconds. I can't promise we're going to make it through the whole thing.
Brothers and sisters, look at this in Toronto, Canada. Look how disgusting this is. They're raising an Israeli flag here, supporting apartheid, supporting criminal activities, supporting genocide, supporting killing of innocent people, supporting of occupation. This is filthy. Look, it's a Toronto school, you know, and then they put these pictures of like, you know, little kids and stuff like that, trying to make it look all innocent. This is despicable. Like, I can't understand how the government of Canada accepts this and we support this. We don't see any other flags of any other countries. This is a company maybe that is, you know, partly German or partly American or something like that. But like, you know, then you can see the helicopters hovering around as well. Probably trying to make it look like a safety issue right now. You know, if we're in Palestine right now, brothers and sisters, and there's a helicopter on top of us, who will probably be launching missiles against us and killing us for expressing our basic opinions and speak, you know. And now they want to do that here in Canada. They actually want to suppress us. They want to put pressure on the government, make new bills, and what? Just to silence us. They're not going to be able to silence us. They will not be able to silence us. We're going to tell you this, because we're going to speak out, and we're going to practice the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada, and we're going to make sure that it's protected, and that we are people of humanity. We are people of dignity. We are people that care about innocent, suffering people. We're not going to accept this regime, and we're going to make sure that we're going to call for the liberation of Palestine, the prosecution of the idea of Zionist criminals, Netanyahu and all his cabinet, all those criminals, and we're going to make sure that we're going to fight until Palestine is fully liberated from the river to the sea, brothers and sisters.
Man, anybody who believes this shit, it literally has shit for brains. You know, things were relatively stable until these assholes kicked off 10-7 and did absolutely heinous things to innocent civilians. Pardon my French, Clee, but these people can take their fucking indignation, shove it up their fucking ass, and everybody who supports them. And I don't support Israel either, as you know. I can't stand any of the shit going on in the Middle East. I don't want any part of it. But these people here have had their brains turned to shit, and they're telling flat out lies. But I'll let you go ahead and comment on the past couple here, Clee.
Get on a plane, go back to the fucking country you came from, and bitch as much as you want. You're sitting in Canada as an immigrant, and you're bitching about a flag in front of a Jewish school. Are you fucking serious?
Well,
this is the problem I have with mass immigration.
I think they are serious, because check this out, Khalid. This is just one day after the attack in Australia. Do these people have any shame whatsoever? Montreal, Palestine protesters scream at people attending Christmas market. 49 seconds.
The land of Jesus, where Jesus was born, has been under attack by the Zionist entity. And absolutely, that Jesus is Palestinian. And if Jesus is alive as of today, if Jesus is living in Palestine right now, he will be living.
Did you know that, Clede? Jesus is from Palestine. He's a Palestinian.
Under an occupation, under an Israeli siege in West Bank, in Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. I want to remind you all, in the same time, that Christians in Palestine are not allowed to move from Gaza. The Christians in Gaza who are being...
So just hold up here a second, Clede, because I've got one more from Canada here. Last night in Toronto, pro-Palestine activists gathered for Long Live the Intifada revolution. Meanwhile, in Australia, a Hanukkah terrorist attack took place targeting Jewish people. Time to put an end to this violence. 17 seconds. So I wanted to say something joking about, Trump looking for targets to bomb. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Khalid, your thoughts on this? Canada's lost, man. They're lost just like Europe is until we liberate them.
Look, when you lose your priorities, you lose your sense of what you need to do as a government. Europe has now decided that banning social media posts and sending people who post something on social media that hurt somebody's feelings should be sent to jail. Canada is in the process of doing the same thing. They're in the process of passing a law that not only allows you to remove someone from a platform, but to completely cut off their internet and telecommunication services for posting something that the government of Canada doesn't accept to be Canadian enough. Now, when you talk about Canadian enough, that's moose, bacon, and beer, and hockey. That's Canada. But ever since Justin Trudeau came into power in Canada, we've seen a complete shift of Canadian values. And Mark Carney is nothing more than a globalist that is in power. And what we're seeing happening in Canada is what we saw happen in Europe, is what we saw happening in the US. The mentality of being able to give the terrorists rights they don't deserve is being carried out into the Western world, and it's being made very popular by the Gen Z crowd. The Gen Z crowd knows nothing of history. They know nothing of what's happened. They have nothing, they have no sense up here because they have not lived long enough to have that basic critical thinking knowledge. The problem you have is that people that are in power, and I'm not talking about the citizens of these countries. The citizens of these countries are honest, hardworking, patriotic people, but the animals they put in power in their governments are not the same. They are working for agendas that are not in favor of the people of those countries. Whether we are talking about the United States, whether we are talking about the Canadians, whether we're talking about the Europeans, whether we're talking about the Australians, you are talking about people that are being ruled, not governed, ruled by people that do not share the values of the people of the country. And when you look at the Democrats in the US, that's exactly what they did. They brought their ideology to the US and said, wait a minute, we want everyone to be diversified. We want everyone to be DEI. We want homosexuality to be acceptable. That's not what America believes. And you see that pervasive mentality spreading around the world. Now with what's going on with Hamas and the pro-Palestinian global intifada, are you kidding me? Global intifada? This is a problem that exists in the Middle East and should stay in the Middle East. This is not a problem for the Western world unless you want to commit troops and fight for something against a terrorist group. The people of Palestine are suffering under Hamas. That is a true point. The people of Palestine are suffering under the Palestinian Authority. That is a truth. How do you give them freedom when both of their leaderships are oppressing them themselves? And what global intifada? Are you kidding?
No, they're not kidding. So we're moving into the next segment here, which is it titled Women in Law Enforcement. So I don't give a shit if a woman is in, military or law enforcement, as long as they pass the same physical standards that are put in place for men. If you can't pass the same physical standards, you shouldn't be in the job because you're not capable of doing the job. And newsflash, we are not all created equal, not even close. And women are way better at certain things than we are as men. And we are way bigger and stronger than the vast majority of women. And this is a pretty big black eye on women in law enforcement here as far as what happened in Australia. So let's just look at the first one here. Women want to be cops till there's cop shit to do. Newly released images confirm eyewitness claims that 4 officers were close to the attackers during the Bondi Beach massacre, but failed to engage with photos showing 3 female officers fleeing or hiding instead of attempting to respond to the threat. I'm going to blow this up in a second when I start the video. It's only 43 seconds, but if you look at the image in the bottom left corner, yeah, that's a cop hiding behind the back of a car where you have concealment but no cover whatsoever, especially from a 30 cal projectile. So 43 seconds.
Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody gave fire back. Nothing. Like they froze. Like for it looked like 20 minutes. Like, and they shoot the guy change magazine. I look at him all the time. I was doing my babies under me, and I look at that, and it's just rifle and a pistol, and just shoot. And the other one was under. They start to come close to the audience. I think one of the people took his rifle and shoot him. That's one of them. That's what I saw. I didn't know how much I saw, but
Who were they targeting?
all the crowd. Anyone.
So moving on from that to the next one here, Clete, I'll get you to comment after I show all of them here, but this is just a close-up. So while unarmed citizens were being mowed down, here's a third cop on the scene hiding. 2 women frozen with their hands up, and this coward hiding. 3 of the 4 cops on the scene, folks. And then the last one, outrage in Sydney. Eyewitnesses blast 2 female police officers for freezing during the Bondi Beach terror attack. Gunmen firing uninterrupted for up to 20 minutes while these officers on scene failed to engage. I mean, this is like the Uvalde thing, but even worse. And I don't have anything against women being in any particular job as long as you can pass the same test. And you know what? The same goes for men. If a guy weighs 140 pounds soaked wet and he can't pass the training that's required, let's say to be a Green Beret or something, then he can't be a Green Beret. It has to be merit-based and nothing else. Merit is all that matters when your job is lethality and peace. One of the two, right? So, Clete, I'll turn it over to you here for a second and speak to this speak to this angle. This is bad. How many people would have been saved here, Clete?
Chris?
Say again.
Oh my God! If the police actually knew what they were doing. Do you remember Butler? The Secret Service team protecting Donald Trump at the shooting in Butler.
Yeah.
Do you remember the women?
Yep, sure do.
I mean I am not.
She couldn't.
I'm not against women in.
Yeah, she couldn't holster her pistol to save her life.
I am not against women's empowerment. I'm not against women being in the military or in law enforcement, but at least have the same guts that the guys that are out there doing the job have. The problem we've got right now is that most of the people that have been brought into the police department after the BLM bullshit are probably just as scared and feminine as the women who are wearing the uniforms. This is not a good sign. I mean, this is not a good sign because the threats get bigger. They don't get smaller. They get bigger. They get more dramatic. They get more dangerous. And when you have women who have been allowed to join the police force that are not qualified or are too scared to pull their weapon and fire, you shouldn't be wearing a uniform. You should have enough guts to resign and say, you know what, I'm not made for this job.
Yeah, well said, Clete. So one of the favorite parts of mine of the broadcast is now here. So 3, 2, 1. All right, so it's time for the Carnival Hero of the Day, and I stand corrected, by the way. So I had the guy who disarmed the jihadi at Bondi Beach down as a half of a hero tonight because he didn't shoot the son of a bitch. But Bree from our Guardians chat, our members only chat over on Signal, said that when he disarmed the guy, he was out of bullets. And of course, they only hold 5 rounds in the very small magazines. I'm curious as to why the bad guy kept looking back at him. He must not have had, been counting his ammo as he was shooting. But either way, I'll play this one more time. And this guy's the full hero of the day, not a half hero of the day. Thank you for correcting me, Bree. Here we go. 23 seconds.
Oh!
So, by the way, this guy, the hero of the day, was shot twice and still managed to disarm the jihadi.
Oh non, gros! Mais il va se faire tirer dessus.
So I think what Bree was saying right there is just before that point, he was pulling the trigger, expecting it to shoot, and it was out of ammo.
Il est trop con, le mec qui a l'arme.
Meanwhile, the shitbag walks away and grabs another gun.
Yeah.
I mean, unfreaking believable.
Interestingly enough, the guy who disarmed the jihadi was another Muslim.
Yeah, I saw that. Very, very interesting for sure. So this next one here, I kind of want to say that the guy who's doing the narration and took the video is retard of the day, because he's sitting here laughing over this. Yeah, Cleet, you haven't been on with me Sunday nights on my personal podcast. Yeah. I couldn't do it last night because Dr. Mike and I got buried in antenna work over the weekend. But I don't have the Carnival hero of the day. I have the retard of the week on my personal Sunday night funny ha ha podcast. So I'm actually nominating this clown taking this video as a retard of the week since I missed last night. And the title is Trucking in 2025 Just Got More Interesting. 32 seconds. By the way, this was today.
Bro, I just seen the craziest shit ever. Dudes just got out the back of this truck.
It is not freaking funny.
Duffel bags. Ain't no fucking way. No fucking way. Straight smuggling operation, bro. Tell me you're in Texas without telling me you're in Texas.
How about call the cops? Just a thought. What do you think, Khalid?
Yeah, instead of making a video, call the damn cops.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? you would think. Anyway, you know, my heritage is Greek, and I'm 100% American, but heritage is Greek. And, you know, we don't get to choose our parents. We don't get to choose our DNA. So in the Greek world, I'm sure you're aware, Khalid, it's all about food. Our world revolves around food.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons that I love, you know, Carnival. But son of a bitch, these guys at Wasatch Wagyu sent me a whole bunch more jerky. And this is like just the tip of the iceberg. Check this out. They are now making salt buffalo jerky. I mean,
holy shit.
Well, yeah, check this out. They're also making salty elk jerky, and the list goes on. I mean, it's freaking insane. These guys have created a massive addiction for me, and it's turned into a domestic dispute between my wife and I, because she likes it as much as I do, but I don't let her have it, so she steals it from me. I went to the pantry. I had like 3 things in there. I'm like, hey, where'd all the Wasatch Wagyu go? And she's like friggin' Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Something happened to it, man. You know, like, golly. So I'll just share this quickly. If you all head over to wasatchwagyu.com, I'll put it in the live chat right now. You can use discount code SD15. You get 15% off. I do not get paid affiliate money by these guys. I do not like affiliate money. I try to stay the hell away from it. But these guys are very generous, like our friends at Carnival as well. And they give us a stipend to help us basically look after some pretty big expenses that we have. So it's not a bad price, especially when you put the 15% on it, considering what it is. Khalid, when you get here, wait till you try this stuff. It is the most supple. I make sandwiches out of it, by the way, because my wife said that's not a meal. So I made a sandwich. I said, meaner, sure is. I made a sandwich out of it. But anyway, at the end of the day, these guys help us defer expenses. We appreciate it tremendously. I put the link down there, wasatchwagyu.com. Best jerky, I'm not shitting you, in the world. Like, bar none. There's nothing. If you don't have this jerky in your bug out, get home EDC bag, you're robbing yourself. You should have this on hand. And by the way, Khalid, that's my favorite right there, the dill pickle. It's off the chain.
And I'm crazy on jerky. I am absolutely crazy on jerky.
Okay, listen, man, stay away from my flashlights and my jerky, and we'll be friends. But touch either one of those 2 things, man, it's on like Donkey Kong. So I want to make sure that everybody caught the beginning of the video as well, that we're doing a Christmas promo with Carnival. This is a hell of a deal. For every $100 that you spend at carnival.com, and keep in mind, code EATMEAT gets you 10% off everything except for subscriptions, which are greatly discounted already. Every $100 gets you a virtual raffle ticket between now and December 23rd. On December 24th, they're going to draw 5 winners, and everybody's going to get the same thing. You're going to get a beef family pack. You're going to get a bunch of single serve beef, chicken, and pork. You're going to get a Carnival hat, Carnival t-shirt, and I'm going to give you a lifetime Survival Dispatch News Guardians membership. And it's bad to the bone, but here's the thing. If you buy anything from Carnival all year round, 365 days of the year, and you spend over $100, over $99, and you forward the email for your receipt from Carnival, and you're an annual subscriber to Survival Dispatch, I'll give you an extra 30 days on top of your membership. We've got some people now, we started this last month, that they bought 3 months, or 3 orders in a row, and I've added 3 months to their subscription. And again, Khalid is having both power and internet issues. Power's been down all day where he's at. I suspect his battery power may have just barfed and kicked out there. So fortunately he's down for the count, but we have covered everything that we had on the agenda to cover tonight. Hold on a second. Golly. Oh yeah, we did it. The trucker thing. That was the reader submitted news story of the day, by the way, from Stephanie P. You got to pardon me. I'm working insane hours these days. So at the end of the day, we'll be back tomorrow night, usual time, 7 p.m. Eastern, with the next episode in our long war series, Permanent Emergency Powers. If you think Patriot Act 1.0 was bad, wait until you hear what they've got planned for Patriot Act 2.0. And, I just heard a pop in the background. Boom, there he is. I figured your battery ran out since you've got no power and your internet's been wonky, but you look better now than ever. That's a compliment, by the way. You look great. So it's interesting that Khalid would jump back on right at this point in time, because Khalid and I wrote this 144 episode series predicated on 9/11 2.0 and afterwards, and it's basically 12 arcs. Consider an arc like a TV season, each with 12 episodes, 144 total episodes. We completed episode number 72 on Friday. So the first half of the series is over. Tomorrow night, we start the next half of the series. And again, it's going to be on emergency powers, permanent emergency powers by the American government and other Western governments. And I'm telling you, Patriot Act 2.0, I've been studying what some of the comments politicians have made on it for the past couple of years. It ain't good. It ain't good at all. So, and COVID was a run up to that. So Khalid, I got all my stuff covered. I want you to do your wrap up. And then I have a very special ending tonight from Pastor Kessel, who's one of our beloved guardians. An awesome, awesome dude. Somebody today suggested that he close out tonight's podcast. I told him, you know what, you can close out any night's podcast. Just send me a video of it. I'm going to play that after Khalid does his wrap up. It's all you, Khalid. Or not. It looks like Khalid has dropped. Oh, he's back. Okay, Khalid, the stage is all yours. Do it fast before you freeze up again.
Am I back?
Kind of, sort of.
We've been away for 3 weeks, and 3 weeks has been really difficult for me because I've been watching what's going on. And the amount of crap that's happening around the world it's the lead up we've been talking about for many, many months now. If you are still in the world that believes that 9/11 2.0 isn't going to happen, someone needs to shake you awake, because if you're not looking at the attacks that are happening around the world, whether it be against members of the Jewish faith, members of the Christian faith, the attacks that are happening in Muslim countries. And the Muslim countries are the interesting ones because that's where they're testing stuff out. We have long said, Pakistan is the crash test dummy for everything that jihadis want to do in the rest of the world. And we're still seeing it here. And there's a lot of things happening that we are trying to deal with on this side of the world. You guys need to wake up. If you still haven't figured out that your police are not going to protect you, have a look at Sydney. Have a look at what happened in Amsterdam. Have a look at what's going on in Germany, and understand that you're not going to be protected. You are going to end up having to either sacrifice your family or pick up a weapon and defend yourselves. And we've done it for years. It's become second nature for us here, but you guys need to get there in America because we're running out of time. I mean, I keep saying it, the clock is ticking, the clock is ticking, the clock is ticking, but it's not just the clock that's ticking, the fuse is burning as well. And that fuse is burning faster and faster every day, because as many times they carry out these attacks, as many times that they're successful in what they're able to do, they get more and more confident. And once they get more and more confident, the attack becomes worse. There's a lot of people out there that are going to try and misguide you. There's a lot of people out there that are going to try and tell you, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. Don't fall for it. If you want to test us at Command 11, you're more than welcome to. You can go back to our website, command11.com, and read everything we've written since before the US pulled out of Afghanistan, and what kind of predictions we gave of what was going to happen in Afghanistan, what happened after the US military pulled out of the US, out of Afghanistan. We are talking about a world that is about to dramatically change, and I mean dramatically change. What is considered to be normal will not be normal. The new normal that you'll deal with in the US and in the Western world is something we've been dealing with for well over 20 years. Terror attacks every day. You don't know when your kids are going to be safe, when they're not going to be safe. You don't know when you're going to be safe or when you're not going to be safe. I remember when the war on terror started in Pakistan, there were times when we literally would leave the house praying that we come home alive. That's how bad it was here. My goals, and I've said this a couple of times, and I don't say this jokingly, when I come home to the US, I am going to lobby heavily for a BFE law that if your life is threatened, you can use military code and carry out a battlefield execution. That is got to be something that has to happen in the US. The stand your ground is great, but stand your ground is great when everything is okay. Things are not going to be okay for a long time. And we need to change the way we operate. We need to change the way we work. We need to change the way we do things. And the first thing to a self-defense clause that allows you to take a life without having to worry about the legal system, a corrupt legal system sending you to prison for defending yourself and your family. So this is my first episode back after three and a half weeks. It's great to be back. I missed all of you guys. And now we're home. It's time to rock.
So we were the first state to get stand your ground in 2006. Our stand your ground law is precisely 3 sentences long. There's no room for confusion. We already have what you're proposing. The problem is that many other states either have watered down versions of stand your ground or no stand your ground at all. And some states even have very compromised castle doctrines where you could face jail time, prison time for defending your home. So if we take the Florida stand your ground law and we were able to turn that into a national law, we would accomplish that. I got to thank Manley again. This guy is so freaking generous. He emailed me today. He sent us another donation to our PayPal donation link, which I barely ever give out, by the way. Very, very generous. Very, very much appreciated. Khalid, I actually got one more thing to ask you about. Both of us in recent weeks have been fed a large amount of complete and utter bullshit intel to see if we were stupid enough to broadcast it. I know you just kind of touched on that, but man, some of the stuff has been pretty asinine. Like they must truly think that we're retards or something. Khalid just agrees.
Yeah, we've talked about this offline. You and I have. People think we're just stupid. I mean, you think we don't have a vetting process? We don't check what you're telling us and where the source came from and what kind of information came to us. We're not dumb. We do this for a living. You may be able to fool a lot of other people, but you will not fool us. I enjoy it. I enjoy the stupidity that people send us and say, you know, well, this is real intelligence. Okay, sure. 3,000 miles away, you have real intelligence, and I don't have it here sitting in Pakistan right next door to your enemy. I don't have it, and you have it 3,000 miles away, and I'm supposed to believe you? No, I don't think so. But it goes back to what I was saying, Chris, that, you know, people are going to try and pass all kinds of information right now because we're in that hot zone. And a lot of people are going to try and build a reputation, build a name for themselves on passing dirty information. And dirty information is no good to anybody. It is just a way to get more people killed. And we've said this before, be careful who you listen to. When you look at the SDN network, we are very careful in what we put out, what we broadcast. It's all verified intelligence. It's all verified information. We can back ourselves up with what we say. Not everyone else can do that. And you need to keep that in mind whenever you listen to whatever somebody's selling you.
I appreciate that, Khalid. So for the record, just because Khalid wasn't on last week, not once have I ever presented myself as a subject matter expert on intelligence. That's why I'm surrounded by people like Khalid, Jeff MD, Mike Glover, and others who've actually worked in that capacity. And, you know, I'm very, very thankful for all of their input. But to the person who decided to launch ad hominem attacks against me and called me dumb, too dumb, you should probably check out my LinkedIn and see what my repertoire is when you want to throw out ad hominem attacks like that. And if you fell for any of the lies told about me, you should probably check out my LinkedIn too, because it has some, let's just call it, interesting hallmarks of my career that no dumb person could accomplish. So anyway, I'll get off of that. Khalid, great to see you. The audience is very happy that you're back as well. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your insight. Big thank you to Pastor Kessel for closing us out tonight. That's it. We'll be back tomorrow night. Between now and then, please like, share, comment, subscribe. God bless America. And enjoy Pastor Kessel's closing prayer.
This is Pastor Kessel. I appreciate SDN allowing me to pray with you all. So shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the opportunity to come before the throne of grace boldly, that we may obtain mercy and to seek grace to help in time of need. And Lord, this certainly seems a time of need in each of our lives. Lord, you tell us to endure hardness as a good soldier of the Lord Jesus Christ. And you have not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Lord, this is a spiritual battle that is playing out in this physical realm. So, Lord, I pray that we would have the patience of Job, the courage of David, the wisdom of Solomon, the foresight of the prophets, the persistence of Paul, and the love of Christ. God, again, thank you for like-minded people that desire to find truth and to live by the truth. Thank you again, Lord, for your patriots who love this country and who love you. And Lord, I pray that you would get the glory, the honor, the praise, and the worship through all that we say and do. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.